Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to COM 2025. I'm like sitting right by the computer.
I can hear you clearly.
Yeah, by the way, this meeting is being recorded.
Okay.
So you know that we're doing a 4 to 6 minute researched speech. We call it expository because the root of that is to expose. And all of the sources that we are using can go beyond the library, but the librarians are there for you and to share some information about the informative speech. She has a tremendous amount of experience, not only with researching all different fields, with students, but also with doing this presentation for you. So if you have questions, please pass them on. We'll make sure she hears them, and we'll be able to gain so many benefits from this exercise.
All right. Well, thank you for inviting me again. I'm happy to be here today. I will be coming back several times in the slideshow to a handout that you already have, I believe, correct, Ann? Just about.
This 3-page document in expository links resources.
Right.
They're on our momentum if they want the digital copy where the links are live.
Perfect. Perfect. But I'll be referring back to that throughout the presentation today. I'm going to be talking to you about where to find information you will need for your informative speech. Just an overview of what we're going to cover today. We're going to talk first about the assignment details briefly, because I think you're already familiar with that. Talk about what you'll need to research and how to conduct the research. Do a really cursory overview with you of this lovely acronym named CRAP, the CRAP test. It's just an easy way to learn how to evaluate information that you may find. And then we'll take a brief and pretty cursory tour of the library website. You are either researching a business or a nonprofit organization that already exists in your community, and you're going to inform listeners about the benefits to the community, or you're going to research the business or nonprofit organization that you think should come and be and invest in your community and inform listeners about how that would be of benefit to the community. I'm going to try to just call this the local business speech. What do you need to research? You can't rely entirely on personal experience or anecdotes or opinions for this speech. This speech is not just your review of the business, which would be more just your general perspective. So, for example, of maybe how not to start, if I stood up today and said, I got my dog from Young Williams Animal Shelter. He is the best dog ever. And if it weren't for Young Williams, he would have died. So, yeah, it's a good organization that helps the city of Knoxville where I live. Maybe I could add some factual information to that and not just lend the beginning of my speech to opinion. We could start out again with the first sentence, but then we could lead in with, in fact, Young Williams has helped thousands of people adopt pets. Young Williams provides low-cost veterinarian care to all the animals in their charge, et cetera, et cetera. Here up in the top left-hand corner, it's a little hard to see, but this is where I found these facts, and we're going to circle back to that in a moment. I might also lead into, I mentioned thousands of people are benefiting in the area from Young Williams Shelter. Well, how do I know that? I know that because I have found some census data on the population of my area in Knoxville. I've found the incomes, percentage of people living in poverty, people who may not even be able to afford animals in general, like the adoption fee, for example, or the care of the animals. So we might go in deeper to that. And so what do you need to research? What your two main topics are, again, is your community and the business and organization of your choice. And unlike other assignments you may have done or you may complete later in subsequent and different classes, you won't be able to rely solely on the library for your sources for this speech. So part of this is, again, figuring out where to find what you need. And for this speech, a search, just a Google search, whatever browser you use, will likely be more useful than items found in the library collections.
You can use the library, you can use the web, and you can go live.
One really rich area of information, as I just mentioned, so I used it to look up information about the city of Knoxville citizens, is census.gov.
Census.gov is on that public opinion government sheet.
You can find some really great demographic information, including age, gender, veteran status, education level, how many homeowners in the area, etc. And we can just go take a really quick look at this. A lot of great data mining you can do here, but generally speaking, what I suggest you use here is just quick facts available to you. So you see further down the page, need data quickly, view quick facts. This is a great place to start.
Did you put the county in there or anything before you hit quick facts?
I haven't even hit quick facts yet. I'm still talking
Okay.
about the other data, but
I'm sorry.
I'm just about to do that.
Understood.
Just want to let your students know that if they are digging deeper for data, probably don't try this on your phone or your iPad. You probably do need to be at a more powerful computer when you're doing that, because it will take a few minutes just to load that information. Now let's go and click on quick facts. Let me enlarge. So at this point, up in the top left-hand corner in that search box, we can enter a county. Just again, for example, I'll just stick with Cumberland. And we can see all the Cumberland cities, towns, and counties, which is interesting throughout throughout the US. But we, of course, are interested in Tennessee. So we're going to select the Tennessee, and you see that what we get immediately is a entirety of the US comparison with Cumberland County. We don't necessarily need that. You could X that out if you want, but it is sort of interesting to see. There's some extra data here, but it's NA, it's not available since the last time we looked at this. But the heart of what you need, the information that was actually collected during the 2020 census is available here. It looks like this is just interim data from different years beyond 2020 that you may see in NA. But again, pay attention especially to the official 2020 data. And we also see an estimate from a year and a half ago that you could use as well. So I see there's a 3,200 person increase in the 3-year estimate that they're providing. What we can see here, again, we see the entire population of the county, age and sex, race and Hispanic origin. We see the population characteristics. In this case, they're collecting data on the number of veterans, number of foreign-born persons, housing information, living arrangements, so the people in the household, computer and internet use, education level, health, economy, poverty and income information, and then the number of businesses, employment status, just on and on. It's really great bits of information here. And then just the geography, so the area itself. So what
can anybody think of their topic and how that might be helpful? Any of this might be helpful. You've got it, and it might be helpful to you. What's your topic?
It was Vanderbilt, the hospital.
Yeah, the Vanderbilt Hospital being beneficial to our area. Very cool. So the health thing might very well be important.
Absolutely. And I would suggest for you that if you have time, that you dig deeper with the data, because there are some just reports, and then also that data mining itself specifically for healthcare. So that might be of interest to you. Another quick tip, and I believe this is on your tip sheet from Professor Morphew, is when you're conducting just general internet search, is to add a domain type. In this case, I'm suggesting .gov to your search. So for example, when I was looking for Knoxville, Tennessee data, I typed this in, and I received data both from the city government, but also it led me to the federal information, federal data, and state data. So what this does, when you add this to your search query, this is letting whatever browser you're using know, I only want to see these domain types. So domains that are of government status. You may want to use this with just maybe .orgs, or depending on what your topic is and what your local business is, maybe .edu to see what else is out there.
You guys get it? This takes you to all educational sites about whatever your topic is. This takes you to all probably nonprofits with .org. Yes.
Yes.
Question, you can also do file type, which is, and you can put PDF.
How do you do file type?
If you're looking, for example, for a doc or a PDF or something, is what you're saying?
Yes.
Yes, yes, I will caution you though. The one thing I would say as a librarian is I want to know where that information came from. So you're going to see that in the URL itself. But often a PDF standalone, it's hard. Again, we'll get to, I can talk about that with the crap test, but it may be hard to identify who published that information. That's the only word of caution I would give you there.
Okay, good.
But yes, that is absolutely a good shortcut. And you will see in the URL where that information is coming from. I would also suggest looking in your local and regional newspapers or TV stations, perhaps even podcast or radio show. You might find some really great information.
I think you should save that document. And if you want the digital version, it's in our momentum.
So some questions to ask while you're doing your research is, when was your business founded? How long has it been part of the community? Is this a local only business, or is this a business that's part of a statewide, national, or international chain? If it's local, it may be easier to gain access to personal interviews with owners or employees. With a chain, there may be more information available online or in the news. And particularly with a chain, there may be some information within the library website that will be useful to you that I'll touch upon.
But even if it is a large chain, be fierce. Why not ask someone for an interview that has a connection or leadership role or something? There's a professor that wrote a textbook for a course I was taking, and it was so in-depth, I made an outline for it for my peers in my class, and for myself. But I wanted his permission before I shared it online, and I emailed him, and by golly, that man, I mean, this famous man he's an influencer, he's a well-known professor in this topic, emailed me that night, or had his secretary or his system do so. Yes, good luck on your project, you may do that. So be fierce and ask. The worst thing they'll do is say no, or they'll ignore you, right?
I think that's wonderful advice. That's also true, again, depending on what class you happen to be in. If you're looking for a research paper, for example, a peer-reviewed paper that might be behind a paywall, I've often reached out to the author themselves in a similar vein because I couldn't access what I needed, and the author is happy to share their information, and they want to get it out, right, Ann? They want you to share that.
Absolutely.
Do not be afraid to reach out. That's a wonderful example and wonderful advice. There's a lot here on the screen.
Actually have a little graphic on there that
Okay.
says, take a photo. If this is of interest to you, get your
Perfect.
fancy phones out and take a picture. These are some things you may find online. These are some things you may want to ask in terms of the interview.
Stop the vid and take a photo if you want.
Perfect. A silly picture, but it gets the point across. This is a kitty worried about, oh my goodness, am I about to have a litter of kittens?
Again.
Again, yes. I wanted to find out for my speech, how many animals did the local business, the shelter, Young Williams, adopt out to homes? I could not find the 2024 information yet because they haven't published it, but I did find the 2023 information, and I found that on their website. So they have really great statistics. You all see this?
Yes, ma'am.
As we scroll down the page, here is the data that tells us the number of adoptions, and also, just of note, the number of animals that were reconnected with their owners, rescued. Unfortunately, there were a few that did not make it, but they give the number of adoptions and then the save rate. And they have this data available for about a 20-year period, which is nice. So this is, again, just highlights of where I found some information, found it from the website. I also went on Facebook to try to find out if they had any additional information there. And I searched my local newspaper this is a little dated, but this is this was a really cute thing to gain attention to the area just of the need to spay and neuter your pets. Currently, they're having a Mardi Gras, so not Mardi Gras, but Mardi Gras. So it's a pet parade. It's mainly dogs. I'd say 95% dogs, but that's another great way to help the shelter.
So that's their official Facebook or Twitter or
Yes.
X. Okay.
Yes, absolutely. And
Instagram.
do look for the official if it's available. Sometimes, depending on the size of this organization, this business, and especially if it's nonprofit, it's not for profit, the social media may be all that they have. There are other small rescue organizations that I looked at, 503c organizations that they're only represented on Facebook just because they don't have enough volunteers to maintain a website. But first, do look for that official website. And then I'd say secondarily, look for some social media. And also, there are lots of organizations available to you that can vet nonprofits. So one good one is ProPublica, also Charity Navigator, Charity Watch. We'll look at ProPublica for a moment. Let's just see if they have Young Williams listed here.
You guys know about this? Somebody evaluates nonprofits. They get their documents, tax documents, is it 990s, their filings?
Yes.
And put the information on here. You can have comments on there. Many of these sites will even have a donation button. So if you start a nonprofit, look at how to optimize your social media.
And Young Williams, because it's a local city-run shelter, it's not part of this, understandably so. But let's look at something. Either if you all want to tell me a name, or I can look at something that's more.
Anybody doing a nonprofit? YMCA.
Perfect.
Find out.
So let's see if we can find. Is it a particular branch that you're looking at?
The one that's opening here in Crossville. Actually,
Can you hear it?
Yes, a new one that's opening in Crossville. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Which
Now,
because it's new, there's no information. However,
wouldn't it be interesting to do lateral reading? Find another one that is in a town of a similar size based on the census.
Absolutely.
And check out how their impact is, what money they bring in, what services they provide. Would that be some details that may be of interest?
Absolutely. And just to compare and contrast and say, less contrast, but definitely compare and say how this has been a benefit in X area and how it would be a benefit here in my area. Absolutely. So I popped back over the quick facts again. We're seeing just for Cumberland County, but we could find comparable size, population size, that is, not necessarily geographic size, to find out then, do they have a YMCA and what can we do about it? I do see, what can we write about it, not do about it, pardon me. I do see, as I look down this list, one that's local. This is larger because this is Memphis, so that's not comparable to the
size,
area.
but it is in Tennessee.
But it is in Tennessee, so it's an interesting place to start. And I want to click on it just to show you within ProPublica the information that you will see.
Now, you saw some numbers up there, 501c3. What does that mean?
That is their nonprofit designation. And this is so small to read, but there are different designations for different nonprofits. This one is telling you it's for the following purposes: and religious, educational, charitable, scientific, literary, testing, public safety, and or the prevention of cruelty to children or animals, which that would fall into with children in this case. But I cannot remember what the 3 denotes beside it, but part of that is whether they can do fundraising or not. I do remember that. And do you have more insight on the actual meaning?
I just wanted to point that and the 990 number out there, because the 990 is tax forms they must fill out. They have to apply to be a nonprofit that can accept donations. And just being aware that those numbers mean something If you
Yes.
really want to dig into it, you can do a quick Google search on it and it'll give you, AI overview will tell you what these kind of things are. So you know what you're looking at.
And you can download this information if you so desire or you need to. But basically that designation is just for federal and sometimes state mandates so that you meet the requirements and that there's transparency clearly in the tax file.
And a lot of these nonprofit search engines will also give you the names of the people in charge, the number of employees, and the names of some of the employees. So there's somebody you can go and talk to, connect
Yes.
with. There's
Yes.
just all kinds of information in these search engines.
And also when you find that information, it doesn't mean you need to cold call them, which we'll get into. You can email, right? You could potentially even text, depending on what they what contact information that they have available to you. But I think an email would be best.
For an interview, you may want to notify the person in advance. Stop the screen and take a photo of the next slide if you want.
And that brings us to the personal interview. So you're asking, again, you may find some of the information online already. And Anne, you've added this note, which is great. Just to that effect, if you can't find the first 3 online, add them to your email. But if you did find that, why don't you dig a little deeper and pay attention to like what's number 4? What would you say are the 3 main benefits of your business or for the community or for your area? And I think that's really good because that makes the person pause and reflect. The first few, they might just routine. We have X amount of employees. We make X amount a year. We're in X amount of areas. But 4 is a great reflection, I think, about what that business is, what services they provide, and what does it mean to that particular employee that you're interviewing.
Thank you for mentioning that pause and reflect. If you ask someone an open-ended question, like, what do you think the 3 benefits are to this particular area? Shut your mouth and just give them a moment to think and don't prompt them. Don't explain it again. Don't repeat it. The speaker trick there, if you really want them to give you their heartfelt answers, is to listen.
So this is an example of what a former coworker and librarian helped a student with this particular local business. And the student, I believe, was having some difficulty finding information. And all they found was this one BuzzFile article. So not necessarily a bad place to start, but you can see there's a lot going on here that is not needed. You can tell that BuzzFile really wants you to open an account with. Here's a little bit of information that they scraped. They scraped this data from online, most likely from census data.
This is a for-profit website that has said, hey, we'll give you more information. It's like the yellow pages.
When I want to know a phone number and I look up white pages, right, it will give you just that little smidge, but then no, we need you to sign up. But no, this is, again, it's okay because it gave us just a tad bit more information, but I would not recommend that this is a useful source.
So what's this student going to do with this small business?
Luckily, it was suggested to them that they conduct the personal interview that we've already been talking about. And also the librarian, my former coworker, did some digging just with the site colon.gov, looked at the county level for farm information. And she found a really great census data report on the county. I talked about the number of farms, also comparison of 5-year comparison. So the change just in that 5-year period at this snapshot in time was 2017. Talks about the number of farms, the land, the acreage, what is grown there, share of sales, what is the farm value, what crops, which is very important. So maybe what the feed store wants to sell, needs to sell within the store to support these crops, what kind of livestock and poultry live on these farms, and then demographics about the farmers themselves. So this was, like I mentioned earlier, for healthcare, this was just a deeper dive into the census. That's great because it was a to-go sheet, probably for agricultural use clearly in the area, but it was a great benefit to the student working on the Old Mill Farm and Feed Store speech.
She did cite that in her speech where you plan out how you're going to say, this is the source I found, or according to this particular source, and then what they said or showed.
And the other nice thing is you saw we didn't get something that is questionable aspect in a sense with BuzzFile. We didn't get all these pop-up blockers because this is census data. So from our federal government census data, and it's freely available to us.
A speaker could show this handout or slide and address the article with a citation. Stop the vid if you want to take a photo. Government public opinion sheet has a lot of sources, but how do you know if a source is worthy?
I'll mention the CRAP test before I do go to the library website. Again, this is just an acronym, and what it stands for is the item, the information you have found, the source, the information, is it current? Is it relevant? Who is the author? Is it accurate? And that's authoritative. And what is the author's purpose?
Our librarians would love to help you evaluate sources or dig into our library tools.
There are multiple ways to contact us. One of the easiest is to use chat. So you will see this Ask a Librarian icon throughout the library website. Also, you have that in Momentum. Call us, you can email us, you can text us, you could walk into a library on the Oak Ridge campus or Roane County campus. But when you do use chat, number one, you can use it 24/7. When you do use it after library hours, your question will be available to librarians the next day in the form of an email, and we can converse with you that way. During normal library business hours, you'll be connected to a librarian. So it's not a chat bot. You are connected to a live person. And through chat, we can also start a Zoom session if that is needed or desired. Maybe you have found what you need, but you're having technical issues. So you could share your screen and show us where the issue is, and we could help resolve that. Or perhaps I could share my screen if you needed more in-depth help, and we could just run through a quick research consultation. So Zoom does not have to be used, but I just want you to know it is there if needed.
Next is a dive into the library to find data.
The main page, you hit student services or just do a
Yes.
search for library.
Yep, either one, either search and type in library or students, and there's a library link. So I'm going to show you one select database that could be beneficial in just a moment. But first, I want to mention under first research tools. So there are different research modules if you need this. The module 3, especially evaluating selecting sources, is a very deep dive on how to critically assess the sources / information that you're finding. Also, evaluating information goes deeper into the CRAP tests. This very short video is a great way to look at and to think about the CRAP test. But here, just again, deeper dive, talks about websites, the glossary of what's mentioned here.
Pause the video if you need to, because next is a deep dive into a business database.
And I will go in and talk just about that one select database that may be useful here.
Perfect.
If we're all back on the main page, we can click underneath one search, library databases. This gives us the A to Z list of 77 databases that are available to you. Let's click B.
We have one hand up for two maybe hands up for people who have chosen a business.
Okay,
Is it a
excellent.
business or an enterprise business, large business?
Ah,
How about-
excellent. Then we can look for
Maybe small.
these.
Okay, cool.
So there are 3 business specific databases. We're going to focus on business insights. Yes.
There we go.
Do you all want to share? The 2 students want to share one of
Okay,
the
for
things?
the larger business? Yeah, larger. Which one have you chosen at this moment? Walmart.
All right, very good. Let's see what we come up with.
Walmart Inc.
This looks like the one we're looking for. Remember, I do not remember. Was it Ulta? In a previous class, we found one that we thought would be the right one, but then the website was really quirky and we realized that was not it. But this
So you have to look. look, you have to be critical observer. You can't just accept that you're where you need to be.
This headquarters, Bentonville, Arkansas. The website looks correct for corporate information. So as we scroll down, you can see it's given us just a broad overview. The SWOT analysis, which is really a benefit. The financial
You guys know what
performance.
SWOT is? Business, anybody in business for your major, potentially? Nope, no business people here. When you analyze your strengths of your company, the weaknesses of your company, the threats to your company, and the opportunities like to your markets and so forth. So businesses analyze this, strong organizations analyze their SWOT to be able to see, here's what we can change and here's what we need to consider protecting ourselves from or taking advantage of. Anyway, thank you. So SWOT's right there and you can read a full analysis.
Yes, and all of this below, all the financial performance information is also part of the SWOT, but this is kind of like census quick facts. This is the quick facts on Walmart listed here. And then if you needed to compare or you wanted to compare, you could do that with other large companies of the same size. And it just gives you some more industry information.
I saw that graph. You could show a graph from any of your sources, say where you got the source, say what the graph is, and then show something about it, talk about that graph. Again, if it's relevant to your speaking purpose, you can use those images in your slideshow if you did, right? But if you'll go back to the sources thing,
Yes, yes,
I love that about these databases.
yes.
Look at
Agreed.
that, guys. See those blue links?
So these are all just different source types. There were 206,000 to go through, so I understand.
Oh,
So we see what I just mentioned a moment ago. This is just a basic search for Walmart Inc. You could at this point, and I definitely would recommend with 206,000 to go through, to go ahead and narrow by the publication date. Maybe you just want to see information from the past 5 years, or even to look at the search within feature if you're focusing on one specific aspect, maybe the grocery side of this.
Crossville, Tennessee. So Crossville, Tennessee, I've had speeches on the Jamestown Walmart as well.
Let's see if it's here.
Better put Tennessee, I wonder.
Here, Tennessee, it looks like maybe broader instead of Crossville, but it's just another really important thing to point out here. I did not select full text. So what you see in this search within, it's given me something I can't access. Here's the citation only.
Oh, okay.
Which won't be helpful to you. So
Okay.
when you are doing, do make sure that you select full text if you ever see that with any database and it's not already selected. I would assume you just want to go through, just like we do with the browser, maybe the first few pages and see if there's something of benefit there. And if not, maybe narrow down a little more. But yes, not only is that main analysis of potentially a benefit, but the different source types that you'll find with your business could also be of value.
In fact, I noticed that they put numbers after the type of references once you did a search within. They said, okay, there's 6 of this and there's 4 of that and there's 20 of this.
Yes, that will constantly update at this top, the gray bar. Yes, so that'll constantly update once as we refine the search. Yes.
In the other databases, they often also have here's how many audio files, here's how many images, so more things for your slideshow. So that's just kind of cool. I didn't know that Gale Business, we had never dug in like we just did. So I didn't realize Business Insights had this showing results thing in there. Cool.
Yes, that definitely does.
I keep learning every time we play with this.
Capture the QR code on the next database slide.
And here's more that you've added, that you've created this.
I'm going to show you the databases and they're very cool. They probably will have more for some of your other speeches, but you wouldn't believe what's there. Yeah.
I want to give a quick plug. I want to talk to you and just remind you that 2 databases exist that you may want to take advantage of when your assignments are done, and just when you're a human, not a student. We have Overdrive /Libby available to you That is a database that contains ebooks and audiobooks, fiction, nonfiction, really great pleasure reading materials available to you through Overdrive/Libby. Libby is the app, Overdrive is the company. That's why I'm using both names interchangeably. Canopy is a streaming video service. A lot of professors use documentaries within Canopy, but you are free to use that just to find, independent feature films, the documentaries I mentioned. They have blockbusters. They also have really great curated collections for National History Month. That's what's going on here. They have a curated collection for Black History Month, and also just some really fun and quirky collections available there as well. They have one, I think it's still up, that I saw a few things of interest. It was B-rate movie, B movie collection that had some had some interesting films included. So check those out whenever you want, if you want, as long as you're here as a student, part of the Roane State community. Those databases and any resources I'm showing you on the library webpage today are free to you.
And I would love to ask, anybody pay for Audible? Go back to the showing the Canopy and the Overdrive for a second. Thanks. Do you listen to audiobooks? Libby is a free app that with your Roane State username and password, you can get so many cool books. And so she is not kidding when she says there's the fun ones as well as the academic-y documentary type things. And if you can project, how many people have a Roku or can screencast to their TV screens, larger screens? I'm telling you, there's some pretty cool things. I listen to a lot of the audiobooks.
Which is great. And I'm glad you mentioned casting, because you can watch and see films available through Canopy just through your TV. So there's also instructions on that if you don't want to watch on your computer or your iPad or other device. This is just part of the presentation. Use the QR code. And Anne, this is a great collection, a great collage. Thank you, of the Librarian.
I'm glad you like that.
This made me happy to see. So thank you. Does everyone feel comfortable reaching out if you do need help?
Several people nodding heads.